Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM. Some of you might recall that a few episodes ago Audi lent us one of their heritage fleet, and they didn't hate the video that we made. They didn't hate it in fact enough that they offered us another vehicle. And we said, yes please. And I don't actually know what we've got. All I know is that we've sent Matt off to go have a look at it and pick it up, and he's told me to meet him here to see what is. This is glorious.
It's the best thing ever, isn't it?
It's amazing. I cannot wait to get in. Let me get in. I want to go.
No, that's not mine.
That is awesome. That is absolutely magnificent. Now, I'm assuming Matt's going to come back and pick me up. But welcome to LMM Drives.
This is an Audi 100 Coupe S, and it is phenomenal.
It's genuinely one of the nicest things I think I've ever been in as a passenger.
I cannot express just how wonderful this car is. Like, being a passenger in it, driving it, like the interior, the exterior, I cannot find fault with this car, put it that way.
I think one of the most incredible things about it is this is a 75 car, right?
Yes, this was a 75. They produced them from 69 to 76. The later examples of this went back to single carbs. They have slightly less power than the early ones.
All right.
But it's 3 horsepower.
Oh, that's not enough to even care about.
No, going from 115 to 112, let's face it, no one particularly cares.
You're not going to notice that ever.
No. It's a 1.9 litre push-rod engine as well, so it does sound like remarkably throaty from time to time.
We've been sat a couple of times waiting at junctions and things, and it's got an almost V8 rumble to it. It's just delicious.
Well, part of that's they put more aggressive cams in this than they did in the regular Audi 100, because despite having a completely different body, it's effectively the same car underneath. It has some upgrades. It's got ventilated brake discs on the front. It's got this lovely interior in here and a couple of other knickknacks, but effectively, like chassis-wise, it's the same as the Audi 100.
So is this an early example of platform sharing, taking a platform and moving on with something else?
Yeah, so Auto Union and Audi and Volkswagen Group and everything they became, they've always been kind of big on like sharing platforms, and like the B1 platform, for example, which the Audi 80 shared with like the Volkswagen Passat and everything. So it's an early example of platform sharing, I suppose.
This is, hands down, one of the single most pretty cars I have ever seen.
Yes. To me, and to anyone who knows me, you'll know how much I love Japanese cars, so this is not a slight. This looks like the Japanese idea of muscle cars.
That's
like
exactly,
60s and 70s
exactly
Americana.
what I thought. When I saw it first, I was like, it has got a Japanese look to it, hasn't it? It feels...
It's got like an old Datsun vibe to it or something like that.
Exactly.
It might just be all cars of that era, but like it's the highest form of flattery for me because I just think it looks absolutely stunning.
It is just beautiful. The chrome on it works well. I don't objectively like the green as a colour, but on the car with the chrome, I think it works really well.
It's perfect for this car. I cannot get over just how nice Audis of the era looked. It's genuinely stunning. Like, this is a proper like head-turning car, and I think it would have been even in the day with roads full of cars like this.
Because it probably wouldn't have broken down as much as everything else of the 70s at the side of the road. This would have just kept going on.
Well, hopefully.
It is beautiful. And driving it around, the amount of people who have looked at it.
Everyone. Like, everyone's head turned full
We've had people stopping in their cars when we've been by the side of the road saying, wow, that's a pretty car.
Yeah.
We love it, it's ours.
No, you've always owned up to it being Audi.
Yeah, I've always, it's the only right thing to do at the time is say, yeah, we've been lent it from Audi.
We couldn't own something this nice.
No, I don't think. And there's lots of cars we drive on the channel that we go, oh, we'd like that. And sometimes we feel we would quite like it, or we'd like something similar. This,
I want it.
We both want. Like, genuinely want this
car.
hatch car. This is fantastic.
apart from like a few niggles, just down to it being an old car, and it unfortunately hasn't ran for almost a year because of some medical situation which is going on.
Yeah, something you may have heard of. It's
It's on the news occasionally. It's not been run, and it's not been given a proper runabout for almost a full year now. So now it's outstretching its legs. The carb is playing up a little bit, but that is literally the only flaw on the entire car.
And again, we are legitimately the first 2 people to go out in it. It's been out with one other bloke on his own, a friend of ours. We're the first duo to take this out this year, which is a crying shame because, guys, it's amazing.
Any Audi 100 Coupe S you can find, just buy it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much
fantastic.
it is. You should buy it. It's everything about it is right. The proportions of it are perfect. Yeah. The bonnet, the height.
Not everything about it is right.
Oh yeah?
It's front-wheel drive.
Yes, this is one thing about it that I didn't quite believe. And
I'm not averse. I'm not like a front-wheel drive hater. Like front-wheel drive cars can be good.
Oh, they got that place.
It just looks so rear-wheel drive.
Looks like a rear-wheel drive car. I was shocked when Matt told me. I've never seen a car before, I think, with the exception of this Celica, your Celica, which screams that it should be rear-wheel drive more. That it's shocking this is front-wheel drive because it doesn't look like it should be. But apart from that, I mean, shape-wise, it's
perfect.
Everything is beautifully in proportion. Audi, thank you very much for lending us, but can you make more things like this, please? Well, you know, guys, by now that we're not fans of stuff made post-2000, but this is what we want to see. It's just all kinds of special. I genuinely have never driven a car that gives this sensation. It's magnificent. It's certainly not one of this period. And compared to the Audi 80 that we drove, this is
leaps and bounds ahead. That car was good, especially for its age, but this car is better. It's stunning.
But the thing is, this was on sale, admittedly with a slightly different engine, the different carb layout.
Yeah.
But this was on sale at the same time.
Yeah.
As the Audi, the 80 that we drove, the Audi, the very early one. And you sit there going, really? I mean, of all the things, I think pushing that. Yes, the headlights. Yeah. They don't even seem like they're cars from the same company.
No.
They're so far ahead. It's absolutely, I can't get over it. Everything about it is gorgeous. The steering is gorgeous.
I suppose if you were to drive a normal Audi 100, i.e. not the Coupe S, that might feel closer to the Audi 80, but this is leagues ahead.
That's what I would expect, I suppose. That would make sense for it. I think it's just...
Driving this feels like you're in a properly premium product.
It really does. This is a premium product.
When I say that, I mean like Aston Martin, like Jaguar. This feels like...
This feels top end. Even now, almost 50 years old, this feels like a top end car. This even now feels like it would command top end money.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what? I would be happy to buy a brand new car that drives half as good as this.
Yes.
It's a phenomenal driving machine. It's the feel of the road through the steering wheel and the way that it drives is just...
But none of it's over the top, none of it's aggressive. Like, you can feel everything and it's all wonderfully under control. But it never feels like you're jumping over bumps.
It rides beautifully, doesn't it? It holds the road so amazingly well. It feels so amazingly nice. Yet it's such a weird thing. The ride is super. I mean, driving along now, it feels soft. But as soon as we hit a corner and go around it, it behaves like a pedigree.
Yeah.
It's such an incredible blend of comfort and sports. It's superb. It's absolutely superb. This is genuinely one of the nicest interiors I have ever come across on a vintage vehicle.
It's so plush. These seats are... Camera cannot describe just how good these feel. They are so comfortable.
They must have been reupholstered at some point. Although the back is equally as good, so they either did the whole lot or they're as they were.
I could sleep in these like quite comfortably.
This is a car you want to do a journey in. From everything in here, it's just plush. It's gorgeous. It feels like a premium product.
Definitely.
So moving across to here, the thing I like most is this steering wheel, because it's got these cool things to hold on to, like hands in it, and the chrome.
It's an F1 car steering wheel.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and it's also, oh, it doesn't work for the ignition's on. Still doesn't work. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Very satisfying, proper horn on that, which scared the cyclist who just cycled past.
I do realise that you do tend to gravitate towards liking steering wheels quite a lot, don't you?
I like wheels like this. I like old wheels. I don't like new wheels that are cluttered full of stuff. That's all I want on mine is logo of company, honky button, and nice kind of thin grabby, and chrome, lead the chrome. Apart from that, it's quite nice. We have an indicator on the correct side for those of us who like our Japanese cars. Windscreen wiper controls to the other side, and then a manual gearbox in the correct place for only 4-speed, but it's the best one I've ever used.
This is so good. It's such a nice gearbox to use. It's so notchy. It just goes where you want it to at all times.
It's a absolutely stunningly beautiful gearbox, and this car drives magnificently with it.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's brilliant. I adore the dash on this.
Yeah. You have 2 speedos, as you got confused with the one at first.
Yes, I pulled away and going, why am I only doing 30? And then realised that I was looking at the rev counter. It's just, apart from that though, they are beautiful. It's all on wood back, and I like this wood design of it. It's just, it looks so beautiful. It's so period as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got multiple zone climate control as well.
That's cool as well. Yeah, we can actually control, we think, he can have the temperature chillier than I can.
Well, no, it's not the temperature. It's only the amount of air coming through.
Yes. Sorry, not the temperature at all. You can have cooler air, and I can have less cool air.
Yes.
Yeah, which is still pretty cool for the car of the time. It's quite, the only thing that lets it down, the whole thing, is the headlining. It's the same material as this kind of noise deadening, holy stuff they put onto like industrial machines. And that's a genuine shame, because everything else, the door cards are gorgeous. They got this beautiful strip of wood that you can see behind me and behind Matt. All of it
emblazoned with Audi on the dash there.
Oh, that's lovely. And chrome everywhere. And the other thing I really like, I love the little door latches that underneath your armrest, you've got the handle which you pull up to open the door. I like the action of that as well.
My favourite thing about this interior though has to be the amount of legroom given to a passenger.
Yes.
I'm sat in the footwell, and the seat is not particularly far back either. This is where you normally have it. You can stretch out your tippy toes. It's perfect. And
there's room for the people behind you as well.
Yeah.
Right? You can have legroom as a front passenger, and the people sitting behind you also can be full-size adults and not lose their legs.
And it's such a small car from the outside. You wouldn't think it had quite this much space in it.
It's very much a TARDIS effect in. It looks a lot smaller on the outside than it is. It's a lot bigger in here. It's weird. I've driven lots of cars that you think, oh, that's going to be huge inside, and you get in and you're like, that's tiny. Whereas this is deceptively large. From that, everything's nice. We've got the little venty things here. We've got a wonderful old school radio in there as well. It's got long range and medium wave.
Yeah. Siggy lighter.
Siggy lighter, that's important. Is that heated windscreen at the back? Oh, it is?
Yeah,
that
heated
is
windscreen.
Cool.
How I switch it on though, I'm not entirely sure, as that doesn't actually appear.
Is it the button? There's a button there, and then that lights up. That's cool. Wonderful. Also, interesting that there's a gauge, which isn't really a gauge, it just tells you where the gears are. But we also have that on top of the gear stick. So either there could be a dial there for something important, like oil pressure or something, or there was a different gear knob on it at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
But we don't really know. Apart from that, all we know is we love it.
It's one of the nicest cars I've ever sat in.
It's not even the nicest classic. It's genuinely one of the nicest. Audi, you guys got this so amazingly right.
This is perfect.
It is.
I'm sitting there down because it's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. It's not 100% right. You were incorrect about something.
Do you not fit?
May I draw your attention to?
Seatbelts.
All classic seatbelts are bad.
Yeah, we have.
All classic seatbelts.
I don't think we have come across a single set of seatbelts, because I guess again, afterthought, was this original? Non-retracting seatbelts, which have hard bolt there and hard bolt there, which you have to adjust somewhere on the strap here, are just so unpleasant. You ratchet yourself tight so that in a crash you might survive a little bit.
But then you can't reach anything.
But you can't even breatve. And if you have it loose, it just falls off your shoulder as you're driving. You have it loose enough to breathe, it's gone, falls off your shoulder. It's genuinely the only bad thing about this.
So Audi only produced 30,000 of these, and despite that, it's actually an incredibly important car, not just to Audi's heritage, but in fact to UK heritage. Nowadays we see so many German cars on the road, but back at the time when this was around, people kind of didn't think German cars were very good. Like, the main German car anyone thought of was the Beetle, which, well, it's a bit rough around the edges.
I do like Beetles.
Yeah, I know you like them, but it's a bit rough around the edges.
If this was your only experience with a German car was a Beetle and you got into something like this must have blown your mind.
Yes, exactly. So just how nice this feels. The seats are genuinely some of the nicest seats I've ever sat in.
Oh,
in a car.
hands down, this is the nicest classic car I've ever been in. This is nicer than most luxury cars today.
I would rather sit in this than like a Tesla, for example.
Oh, every day. This is superb. And I think the big thing to think about this as well, that in the 70s, compared to what the UK was making, I mean, we were making absolute rubbish.
Ah, that's motor.
I don't think that gas strop's original.
No, I don't think they were using gas struts that much, but it's badged Audi, is it? And this looks original here.
It's badged this size Volkswagen.
Well, okay, maybe not then.
So this is very similar to the 80 we drove. In fact, the whole layout of this is very similar, apart from the radiator.
Yeah, they put the radiator in the correct orientation.
Although it's still weird to see it over on one side like that. That's very strange.
The only thing I noticed, it seems a lot wider than the 80, and you've also got this big like cross brace coming across the middle between the two suspension towers.
Oh yes, which goes over the top of your transmission tower.
Yeah, and over your brakes down there.
What's really strange is, I guess because there's no transmission tunnel in there, but
Yeah.
everything ends there in the bonnet. Like, I know we're used to engines which are mounted transverse and side-on where you've got everything, but it's quite rare to see all of the engine and a gearbox for a longitudinally mounted thing.
Yeah, normally you'd see the gearbox to about there.
Yeah, you kind of see the start of it, but it disappears, whereas it's there.
Yeah.
It's
You
just...
see the whole thing.
This
is clearly why we moved to transverse, because there's so much space in here which you could shorten down to this.
It's very... Yeah, there's like, I can just get my hand right down there and underneath. It's, yeah, it definitely feels wasted.
You could stick a V8 in this.
You probably could, actually. Make a rear-wheel drive transmission tunnel underneath. Yeah. Oh, that's
Good idea, Audi.
That's funny. I like the fan. Is that for heater? Air bringing air in for.
I think that goes into the cabin. Yeah, those are your cabin flaps there. So that's going into the cabin.
Okay, and what's that doing? Is that blasting air into the cabin, or
I guess that's just the fan for the cabin.
That's a weird bit of placement. This is all. Again, it's similar to the 80 we looked at. You think there's going to be this absolutely huge engine.
Yeah, and it's just kind of there.
It's strange, and again, these huge, great struts coming in and eating up so much. Well, wheel wells eating up so much of the. It's also Audi NSU Auto Union this time.
Yeah.
Oh, this is strange. Still, I can't get over having a radiator on one side. So the same thing we talked about with the 80. Is this likely that this is going to want a different spark plug at the front of the engine because it's going to be getting cool?
Potentially, but I don't think you've actually got grills that side. You've got like this whole grill here, but there's a blanking plate over everything apart from this side.
Oh, there is. That's interesting. So you're not getting the air-cooled engine as much on this.
No.
This is very strange and very different. Having the radiator there still sketches me out. Even if it isn't 45 degrees like the 80, it's still like, that's a weird place to put the radiator. Does this mean that your suspension's got to be different because the weight of the engine's off-centre?
I'd guess so a little bit, but not so much because you've got a slant engine and you've kind of...
of course, yes.
You've shoved it across this way as much as possible on the bottom and you're only seeing the top of the engine.
Yes, of course.
Side.
So it's the weight of the engine's still going to be fairly central, isn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause it's only the top that swings over here. Yeah, fair enough.
And that's giving you enough space to put the radiator here.
So I think the most important thing to take from this is this comes from the 70s. When you compare what we were making in the UK in the 70s,
Oh, this is leagues ahead.
it's not even the same decade.
That said, this was Audi's attempt at a premium Grand Tourer. So when you compare what it's going up against, like realistically, you're looking at like far more expensive cars than this was at the time. I mean, I think Audi themselves say that like the styling of this is like contemporary to like the DBS or something. So that's really why it looks just so gorgeous from the outside.
Oh, everything about it. And it's rare, I think, to find a car that's equally as gorgeous to be in as it is to watch, kind of to look at.
Yes.
And this is stunning. So this is the moment they went from being like a cheaper car manufacturer to being the luxury high-end brand they are today.
Well, to some degree, it's more a case of the whole German car industry, though, because before this, like, people just did not buy German cars in this country. I mean, they were soured by something which went on a few years before, so that might have been the case.
Yes, they're a big thing that went all over the world.
But yeah, so this kind of changed the way that we really saw German cars in this country.
So I guess there must have been quite the prejudice against German cars, and for this to come along and be just so incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be incredible to change the way we would have thought after the event.
Oh, definitely.
I think this is one of the prettiest back ends that I have ever come across on a car.
I like it. I'm not going to say it's bad. It's a very pretty rear end, but the front is genuinely astounding. And this is just kind of, it's a good rear end. It's not perfect.
It's not as good as the front, but I think it works so well. I love cars of this shape, though.
Although I think the lights are off something else. They've got that kind of vibe of they've been stuck on there.
You know what? They do, don't they? They're not really...
They're shaped into the body here. It looks lovely.
Well, they're not, though, are they? The bodywork is shaped into the body, and then you have a chrome surround.
I wonder if they came off something else.
I don't know.
Or they're off the regular 100 and
they just went on. That's possible.
They still look lovely, don't get me wrong.
It does.
They give me the vibe of being glued on.
Now you've said it, I can't unsee it. That definitely looks like they've been attached. There is one thing that I don't like, though. You get this lovely streamlined rear end with no buttons or keyholes or anything. So in order to put something in the boot, say my imaginary shopping here, go to the front of the car, open the door, reach in for the little lever there, which has now released the boot.
I don't know why you're complaining about that. Literally most of your cars have that.
No, most
your
of them
MR2 has that.
Yeah, but it also has the option for a key to go in. So you're I'm here, just key and turn and put in. You can release it. I don't like the fact the only way to open it is to go...
Is it just me with a broken boot then?
Yes, yours. You have to do this, don't you, anyway, on your MR2. Everything else of mine, I can go either from indoors and release it.
Or push a button.
Or you push a button or put the key in. I don't like the fact there's nothing here to be able to release it.
It's secure.
It's very secure.
No one can steal your shopping once you put it in there.
I'll tell you something, if you put somebody in there, they're not getting out either. There's no way to release that from the inside either.
Welcome to Europe.
Now, on which note of putting somebody in, it's a wonderfully sized boot. You could definitely get people in there.
It's genuinely surprising. There's a full-size spare all the way at the back, but you could still quite comfortably almost get two people like crouched in there quite happily.
Oh yeah, you could. This is a good car for... maybe we should not go down this kind of path. What we are saying,
good car for illicit business activities.
You could, however, quite easily take two people in the back seats, two people in the front, and all of your luggage to go away on holiday. This is a remarkably practical...
It was designed as an executive Grand Tourer, and I think it fills that role so well.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's brilliant. This is a very practical classic. I want to go on holiday in this.
Yeah.
I want to take this somewhere. There's more space in this in most of my vehicles.
Yeah.
Possibly my Celica's got a similar luggage space. That's got a decent size boot.
I think your Supra's a bit bigger, but...
I'm trying to think. I mean, Jupiter's got more space in it, but car-wise, it doesn't look like it should have such a big boot, does it?
Yeah.
Because the lid finishes here, you kind of assume it's going to be just that.
I guess one problem is that obviously you've got an unremovable parcel shelf made of metal there.
Oh,
so you don't have as much space as you think. So you can't fold those seats down, but there's still like very sizable luggage space.
So we've decided to do the most correct thing I think that there is to do with a GT car, which are my favourite kind of cars.
Just go on a Grand Tour.
Go on a Grand Tour. So we're spending the evening as the sun sets over Suffolk, trundling around the gorgeous roads around here, and we're going to the pub. We're going to go get dinner.
That doesn't sound like a Grand Tour to me. We're still in Suffolk.
We're doing a Grand Tour of Suffolk.
This small area of Suffolk.
Yeah, it's the correct thing to do, I think, is to go to the pub.
Can we not drive it to like Belgium or Germany or something?
Actually, I'll tell you what I would love to do with this. It's just the most amazing driving thing. I would like to take this back to the factory.
Yes. All the way back to
Audi,
Germany.
can we take this back to the factory, please?
Do a proper Grand Tour. What you built it to do.
We would like to take it back home and take it back to the factory. I think that would be, because it's fantastic. It's genuinely one of the best things I have ever driven.
Yeah.
And I have driven a whole host of amazing vehicles over my lifetime. I've been very lucky. And this is up there with the very best. It's within the top 10, top 5. Possibly it's in the top 2. It's just a magnificent driving machine. Everything is glorious. Anything off the top of your head, Matt, you can think of that's better than this?
I mean, I'm going to point out the obvious thing. It doesn't have pop-up headlights.
It does not have pop-up headlights, and that would definitely improve it, but it does have quad lights, which are
Yes.
an
an acceptable substitute.
Yeah, they're not as cool as, but they are pretty cool. It's fantastic. It's the shame. The only downside is that, which we think is the carb through just lack of use. It just kicks a little.
It's been sat a year. The car probably just needs degunking. We put some fresh petrol in it today, and it has spiced it up
a big
bit.
difference. But apart from the odd kick it gives when you put your foot down, the power delivery in this is silky smooth.
Yeah.
It's absolutely unbelievably good. Like, all kinds of special. The other thing I just like about this is it's similar to the previous Audi that we drove, but it's so light and airy in the cab. Even as the light fades as we trundle across Suffolk, it's still really nice in here. Even though everything's dark, it's made of dark fabric, leather, plastic and brown wood. It still feels nice and light in here. It's an exceptionally pleasant place to be.
I think it's because there's so much glass. You can still see what's going on around you despite it being dark.
It's very strange. The thing I didn't like, but it's grown on me, when I first sat in here, I felt the instrument cluster was too high and I felt I was sat too low. Now I've driven it around for an afternoon, I'm just like, no, this is perfect. This is a good seating position.
Audi did it right.
Audi really did this right. I don't think anybody has ever, almost anyone's ever made a car so right and then moved away from it. Because I know times change, but this is perfection. I mean, there's lots of cars that I've actually felt that I'd like and I would like to get hold of and things similar. This one, I really do want this.
Yeah.
I feel like I need one of these in my life just because it's so amazingly pleasant. It's just wonderful. It's just simply wonderful. There aren't any other words for it apart from wonderful. Good job, Audi. Good job.
Pub.
Pub indeed.
You know what? All things considered, not a bad car, this, is it?
Genuinely one of, if not the best thing I've ever driven.
Yeah.
It is absolutely superb.
Like the ride, everything about it is just...
Now, there are a couple of things. If this was fully fit, like it'd been something that had been used and the car was clean, I think it might actually be just without fault.
Yeah.
It's almost a flawless car. And with that, guys, we really hope you've enjoyed this review. Looking at the first car, I think, that we go, he's almost flawless.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. So a huge, great thank you to Audi for lending us one of their heritage fleet. Guys, this thing is fantastic. You're very lucky to have it in the fleet, and thank you so much for looking after it and allowing us to have it. It's a credit to you guys, and it's superb. And a big thank you, of course, to JM1 Cars. If you haven't already checked out his channel, he does lots of car-y things, like more modern stuff than we do normally. But big thank you for him for helping to convince Audi to lend us another one of their vehicles. And of course, guys, thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed it. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think about this one. Do you agree with us that it is one of the most perfect cars ever made? And have you ever driven one? So, hope so. And thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this, how about clicking over there somewhere for the Audi 80 that we did, or over here for one of the other cars that me and Matt really enjoyed, the Nissan, oh, it's a Datsun, isn't it? Datsun 280Z, which is also one of the best cars we've ever driven.
Steak.
Pub.
Steak.